Hello and welcome. I'm Miriam Castilla and welcome. This is step 3 of the 7-step debt elimination process, where we take you through step by step the very best way to pay off credit cards and other debts fast. And this is actually part of the Freedom from Debt system, which you can access at the link in the description. It's totally free, and that will give you access to the planner and the guide that go along with this video. So today is step 3, and what we're doing today is we're going to talk about how to find the extra cash to really accelerate this debt reduction process for you without you needing to feel like there's stuff you have to miss out on and go without. So just a super quick recap. So far, we have gathered your numbers and we have helped you decide on what your number one focus should be. Which debt do we start with? What is that highest priority? And today we're going to look at finding the extra cash to really accelerate this process, because we want to eliminate those debts as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, so that we can free up all that money that was going into this maintaining the debt system, and free it up for you to be able to put towards wealth creation, which leads me to just digress for a moment. I want to talk to you about compound interest, because compound interest is a magnificent thing that Einstein supposedly called the eighth wonder of the world, and I would totally agree. So compound interest is an incredibly powerful effect where, you have interest that gathers interest, and then the interest on the interest gathers interest, and so on. And it becomes this incredibly powerful force that just runs away with things. Now, the thing with compound interest, though, is it can be working for you or against you. It can be working in your favor and making you wealthy really fast, or it can be working against you and really keeping you financially stuck or even pulling you under. Now, when it's working in your favor, then, we've got you earning interest on your investments, and the interest is earning interest, and the interest on the interest is earning you interest. And that's your money going to work for you. I actually call that making money babies, because you can literally imagine it like this family tree where you start out with a little, and then they have babies and the babies have babies, and it just proliferates and goes nuts. So that's what we want to get to. But while your money's tied up in this, having to maintain these debts and these minimum payments and needing to pay them off, that's not allowing you to, number one, have the money to put into wealth creation. And also what's actually happening there is the compound interest is working against you, because you're literally making debt babies. And we want to do as little of that as possible. We want to stop that process. We want to stop the debt from proliferating and from the interest, accruing interest on interest on interest. We want to get on top of that so that we can then swing the tide. And so there are 3 main factors when it comes to compound interest. One is money, how much money is at stake and in the system. Number 2 is time. How long has this all been going on for? The longer, the more powerful the effect. And the third one is the interest. So the interest rate that's involved. Let's talk about investing. If you're investing at a 20% annual return, your money is going to multiply a lot faster than if you're investing at a 5% annual return. So they're the 3 key factors when it comes to compound interest: the amount of money in the system, the length of time that you're allowing it all to run, and the interest, the rate of return or the rate of interest if it's a debt. So what we're talking about today here in step 3 is we want to increase that first one, the amount of money in the system, because what we want to do is we want to stop the proliferation of the debt as quickly as possible. And so we want to throw as much money at that as possible, because that then cuts the time shorter. And that means that we need to figure out how to find as much money as possible to put into this process that we're putting together for you. So the thing is, though, what we're talking about here as well in this 7-step debt elimination process, this freedom from debt process, is we're talking about, the energetic and mindset side of money and debt. And so the last thing we want is for you to feel like you're being deprived or you're having to go without, because that will affect your mindset in a very negative way when it comes to money. And it will mean that you're putting out this signal and this message of, oh, I haven't got enough, I have to go without, I've got debts that I have to pay off. And so we don't want that. We want you to feel really empowered and really positive about paying off your debts. And this extra money that we're going to talk about freeing up right now, we want that to come from a place of, I'm so excited because I am putting all this extra money into this system to pay off my debts, my credit cards and so on, as quickly as possible. And so what I'm doing feels really, really great because I am shortcutting this journey as much as possible by throwing as much money into this system as I can. And that allows me to get to the other side of the spectrum, start putting compound interest to work in my favor, and start creating real financial stability and wealth for myself. So we want to make sure that in all of this, you feel positive and empowered and really excited rather than deprived and like you're having to go without, or maybe you're being punished. So we don't want any of that. So that's a really important part of all of this. Now, let me just share my screen with you. We're going to go to the Freedom from Debt Planner. And like I said, the link for you to access this, it's totally free, is in the description, in the comments of this video. And we looked at this last week already, and there's a little example down here of, listing all your debts out and gathering all the information and then deciding which one you're going to focus on first. Now, today, step 3 is all about this little box. See where in our example, we've got $120, which is just an example. It's all about, well, what do I put in that box and where does that money come from? That's actually all today is about. So I don't really feel like I need to keep sharing my screen. I think you've probably got the idea. But in the Freedom from Debt system, the number we're talking about today, the dollars we're talking about today, that's where it goes. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let's talk about that. So it's very simple, really, because at the end of the day, there is so much money to go around and we want more money to go into that little box for the extra money we're putting into this debt elimination system. Where's it going to come from? Okay, here's my $1 million tip for you. Think about swapping expenses rather than, I need to find more money. What on earth do I do? Do I sell my firstborn? No, just look at which expenses do you already currently have that you're not really getting much from in return, and swap those expenses and use that money instead for that extra debt reduction. So here's an easy way to do it. Grab your last 3 months worth of bank statements and scroll through and look for subscriptions. Look for recurring expenses, those subscriptions to, that gym that you used to go to, where they don't even remember what you look like anymore, things like that. Or maybe there's magazine subscriptions, or maybe you've got a subscription to Spotify, but at the end of the day, does it really matter if you get the odd ad? Or maybe you've got a subscription to something else where the level of your subscription is much higher than you really need. You're not even using the whole capacity of that higher level membership, and you can just drop it down and save some money. So starting with subscriptions is the easiest place because we all have subscriptions that we've forgotten about and that we don't use and where we're paying too much. So as you go through and you identify those things and you either completely cancel them or downgrade them, keep a track of how much money you're freeing up and add it all up, because that's what's going to go into that box I showed you a moment ago. And then the other thing you can also look at is, where am I just spending too much money in general? Maybe it's not subscriptions, but maybe it's, oh, you know what? Every time that we get pizza, I upgrade to the deal with the garlic bread and the soft drinks. And you know what? I actually don't want to eat that much bread. It makes me feel really bloated and I'm trying to cut back on sugar. So I'm just going to get the pizza next time. So you might look at just even, just shaving little bits off existing spending where you go, I'm not really getting anything out of that. I can chop that back just a little bit. Maybe, like me, you really like going out for coffees and having a little bit of a sweet on the side, and maybe sometimes that turns into brunch. And I know that for me that can easily turn into oops, I've just done that 5 times in a row kind of thing. And what I find is when you decide that, okay, 3 times a week is plenty and I'm going to feel abundant and enjoy myself and get out and do all the things I enjoy, but I'm going to kind of put some boundaries around it and take that extra money and put it into my debt elimination system so I can do all the things I want to do when I'm debt free, which are much more important to me than having an extra coffee and cake each week. That's a really great way to approach it, because it means you still get to enjoy yourself, you still get to do the things you want to do, but you're setting up some boundary around it from a place of feeling excited and empowered because you've got better things to do with the rest of your money. And again, what I want you to check in with all of this is make sure you're always coming from a sense of empowerment, a sense of excitement, and just keeping a check and making sure that deprivation isn't part of the equation. It shouldn't be, and it doesn't need to be. You should be excited when you find those lost dollars and reclaim them for yourself. So in my Magnetic Money program, we have a whole module where we go through this process, and we don't just stop at the 2 things I mentioned. We also look at, phone bills and all those things, and you can too. And it is really, really common for students to report back and say, I just freed up $1,500 a year, $2,000 a year, and more. This is plugging the leaks in your money system, and this is you reclaiming your money that's already going out there and putting it to much better use for yourself. So that is step 3 for you. It's about identifying that extra cash that you can then put into your debt elimination system so that we have more money in the system, which allows us to eliminate those debts and clear them a whole lot faster. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how to press go and hit lift off on your debt elimination system. So if you haven't yet, I encourage you to click subscribe and hit the notification bell on my channel so that you never miss a video. And just a final reminder again that the whole Freedom from Debt system is available for you to download for free. You just need to follow the link in the description once again. I'll see you in the next video, because it's time to embrace your unlimited potential and for you to experience sweet, sweet freedom from debt. Amen to that. See you soon. Bye for now.